G'day, listeners. Before we get going today, I want to address something briefly. This podcast exists for one primary reason: to help you think better about money, make smarter financial decisions, and build real wealth with clarity, structure, and control. That is the mission of this podcast. But I can tell you right now that my passions and convictions run deep, and they don't just stop at money. This first episode is a perfect example of this, as the conversations with Warren takes an unexpected turn into health and well-being, which is paramount to you building real wealth. I hope you'll indulge me as I share my other interests and conversations with you along the way, in the hopes that you might learn something that will only enhance your financial journey. At the end of the day, this show is about mastering money, not just earning it, but understanding it, protecting it, and multiplying it. Thanks for being here at the start with me. Now let's get into it. G'day, listeners. Welcome back to another episode of the Rodney Bull Show. Today, my guest is a fellow emerging podcaster who is talking on the topic of health and wellness and all that comes with it. It's a pretty large topic. I first met Warren Kavanagh at in a conference in Thailand. And being two old school buffy Aussie blokes, we hit it off pretty good on the beach when we first met over there. It was really good. My passion is educating people about wealth ultimately, but good health is the truest form of wealth for us here in this lifetime. I'm very keen to talk to Warren today and more about his perspective on health and wealth. So welcome to the show, Woz. It's great to have you on, mate.
Thanks, Bully. It's good to be here.
Just like to get you to give us a bit of history and a bit of a rundown on yourself first and foremost, mate.
Well, as you said, I've started a podcast called The Wellness Debate, and it's kind of come about because of my own journey. And the confusion as I try to research different things to find out what's best for me or what I should be doing. Santa brought me a couple of stents in Christmas of 2023, which was a bit of a surprise. Yeah, no. He didn't do me any favors that year, but
wasn't been a bad boy.
Clearly. Too many treats and not enough of the stuff that I should be eating. But yeah, it came as a bit of a surprise initially. Had been treated for some high blood pressure, but medication was keeping that under control. I hadn't kind of had any other symptoms or anything else, and it was a preemptive one. I was getting a little bit of pain on the right side of my chest actually when I was walking, so out exercising. And so then because they did tests, they found there was a blockage and decided, we needed to put the stents in. So I didn't wait until it kind of went, oh, there's a heart attack. I took notice of my body, which was pain in my right side, not where I was expecting the pain to be, but that's not normal. It's not like, when I first started and I got the pain, it's kind of like, well, I just haven't walked for a while, but it continued. So it's like, no, time to go to the doctor. So yeah, I did, and I'm pleased they did what they did, and I'm certainly not anti-medicine.
But for sure.
But my research since then, obviously, when you wake up the next day and the doctor comes around and says, okay, so you're going to be on aspirin for the rest of your life. You're going to be on this medication for the next 12 months to help everything settle down. And then you're going to be on statins for the rest of your life. And it's kind of like, yeah, that's great. Thanks. I'm alive. That's good. I'll do what I'm told. Yeah. So it's coming up 2 years now. So I've got a conversation with my cardiologist in November, which will be, can we look at more natural ways to manage my condition and what's the risk? Obviously, I don't want to mess around with my heart because pretty much when your heart stops, a lot of people don't get second chances. So
true that.
But the confusion is, with the medication, the statins. The more I look into it, the more alternative information I'm finding from cardiologists. So assuming they've studied the same stuff, they've gone to cardiology school and whatever it is that the training they've had. But it's like everything, you're going to get two experts with different opinions. And I need to
Yeah.
try and decipher what I kind of am leaning towards and see if that works for me without putting my health at risk. Because the statins are designed to lower our LDL cholesterol. Okay, they say that's usually the cause, but then other cardiologists will spin statistics to you that say a large percentage of people who have heart attacks have low LDL cholesterol. So,
Yeah. Okay.
how can that be the cause? But they don't then tell you what else it is. Sometimes they do. They talk about, the triglycerides figure that you on your blood count. They could talk about insulin resistance. They talk about a number of other things that they believe may be the cause. So for a man in the, a layman, a man in the street like me, just an average Joe, what do I do? Do I listen to my cardiologist and say, well, his view is, well, it was 2 years ago, you're on statins, you're on aspirin, you need to just deal with that. Side effects, I'm getting aches and pains. So I'm just confused with what I should be doing. And I guess I'm trying to use the research that I'm doing and hoping to share that information with other people who may be in a similar position, who may be just as confused.
Yeah. Nah, I understand, mate. Like there's a lot of information out there, eh? And it's pretty scary to end up in that situation that you ended up in.
Yeah.
And going forward from there, trying to decipher who to listen to and what information to actually run with, because it's
Yeah.
like you said, you get it wrong and your heart stops. She's pretty much game over.
Yeah. And there's no point from the grave saying my cardiologist was right, or I should have listened to that other cardiologist with his point of view, because no one's going to be listening to me.
Nah, for sure, mate, for sure. So, go on. Thanks for sharing that with us, Was. That's some
Right.
pretty personal stuff there, and it's very pertinent for sure. Though a lot of people would have very similar stories, I'd imagine. Sadly, in today's
Yeah.
health situation in society, which is pretty poor.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about your podcast, what it's called, and your audience, and how the whole concept came about, mate? Obviously, leading off of that,
Yeah.
and where that message that you want to bring.
Yeah. So pretty much because of my own journey, I just thought, well, I'm having trouble. I listen to other people on podcasts. I listen to experts in their field. And as I say, some of it is over my head. They talk research and they talk different bits and pieces. And it's kind of like, well, that's over my head. So I need them to break it down for me. So what I'm trying to do is take that information, who then break it down so that I can share, as I said, in plain English, as I call it. So,
Yeah,
hopefully the audience can expect there's probably an initial focus on what I'm going through and what I'm looking at, but it won't be the only one moving forward. Obviously, my journey is the stents and with the heart. I recently had a visit from my old friend, Mr. Melanoma. So just up here, I had
okay,
one of those taken out. Again, got to go back in now in a couple of weeks for them to get some more clearance. So pretty much slice me up again and take bigger area. But fortunately, surface level. So according to the doctor who did it, it's not a problem where that is at the moment, but we just need to take some more clearance. So that's something else has happened. And of course, everything comes in threes. There's an appointment with a urologist also in November, ultrasound, MRI, found something growing that shouldn't be growing in my prostate. Don't know what it is yet. They haven't had that conversation, but we need to have a chat as to whether I do a biopsy to find out for sure. But then again, my research on that is, the risks that some people can have with a biopsy. I'll have an open discussion and see what decision I make at the end. Once again, I don't want to put myself at risk by not having a procedure, but I also want to be well aware of what the risks are if I have the procedure. It's fine for a doctor to say, oh, it's fairly straightforward. We do lots of them. Yeah, that doesn't mean it's right for me. But again, I'm not going to be silly with my health. I just want to be informed. So that's what I'll be trying to share with the listeners.
No, that's for sure, mate. That's very interesting and makes a lot of sense. You got to try and round up as much information as you can so you can make a very informed, consensual decision for yourself. So
That's
you can do a
right.
bit of critical thinking around it, and then what the possible outcomes could be for you. And how many different options that you have.
Yeah. Well, it's
So
my body they're sticking the needle into. So I want
yeah,
to know
that's right,
what,
mate. And
you know,
you ultimately you have the choice on which way you go and what you go with. You
yeah.
know, I'm sorry to hear that you've been up against it a bit, mate. But I'm really glad to see that you're using that turn of events to alleviate and elevate yourself into more education about all of this. So that you can make better decisions and ultimately sharing what you discover and people that you learn from through your podcast.
Yeah. Well, I just hope that,
Being the wellness debate.
yeah. And I guess if listeners, have something similar or they know someone who's going through something similar, then if it brings some clarity to them or gives them another alternative to consider, then, it's certainly well worth it.
Yeah. Well, again, mate, because your health is most important. It is your truest wealth there is out there.
Yeah.
And if you don't have your health, well, then you can't build good true wealth.
Oh, can't do anything.
No, well, not for sure by any means, mate. Um, what avenues have you been pursuing so far to gain the knowledge that you have
Pretty
around
much,
all of these subjects, mate?
yeah, listening to podcasts from other um, experts. And as I say, I guess you always get experts from the same field with different opinions when you ask the same question. And I guess that's what I'm finding. Um, there's experts that talk about as I said before, the statins are supposed to lower your LDL cholesterol because they believe that increases your risk of having another episode in the future if your LDL's too high. But then there are as I said, others, cardiologists who say LDL is not the main reason and you don't need to worry about it. Yet I'm on statins to reduce my LDL. But then the side effects, yes, I've had some muscle pains, but moving forward, your brain is mostly cholesterol.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I have read that.
again,
Yeah,
the man in the street logically thinking is going, okay, well, I'm going to reduce my cholesterol levels down to very low, keep my heart working. But then down the track, if my brain doesn't get the cholesterol that it should get, is that going to lead me to dementia and Alzheimer's, as I get older? So is there a trade-off? Um,
that's a pretty scary trade-off.
and then you've got other experts who say that the physiology of the body, the brain doesn't take the cholesterol from the blood, which is how they measure your amount of LDL in your system. They take it from a blood test. But
Yep.
he's saying that the brain has its own way of getting cholesterol. And I need to go back and revisit the mechanics of it all. But basically, he's saying that, it doesn't take cholesterol from the blood. So therefore, he has no problem recommending to people to reduce their LDL level to as low as they can get it. Because his view is could be a precursor to heart issues down the track, but don't worry about your brain because it's not going to take your cholesterol from the blood anyway. So again, I throw my hands up in the air and I'm confused with, well, does it feed the brain or does it not? I mean, these are experts. They all relate to different studies. They'll all tell you a study. it's trying to decipher, sometimes follow the money, the studies done by the Heart Association or whatever else. So there may be an agenda from some people, but if there isn't, and it's just their opinion, but I kind of think the physiology of how blood and cholesterol works in the body, surely there's only one right answer. Like if you try and put, hammer a nail into a hole and the hole's too small, you'll have trouble hammering it in, but then the hole will get bigger. That's just how it works. So the body surely, with the cholesterol, can only work one way. I don't know which way is the right way. So it either gets from the brain, either gets the cholesterol from the LDL somehow, but the statins don't impact the brain. And I'm still not sure how that's going to work or what I should believe yet, but that's part of my journey. And the other journey is food. Got a few extra pounds to lose, and I'm working on that. I'm out moving more, trying to walk with my exercise. But what do I eat? Carnivore diet over there says they feel great. Vegan diet over there saying get more plants into you, forget the meat products. The World Health Organization has classified, your bacons and processed meats as a carcinogen. So I love a good bit of bacon, but is it?
Yeah, you and me both, mate.
Is it not good for me? So do I stop that? Do I eat keto? But then I saw a study where people on a keto diet, their cholesterol level increased by being on keto because they're having high saturated fat. So lots of butters and coconut oils and stuff like that. So I don't know what to eat anymore.
Yeah.
So it's just confusing.
Yeah, it's very confusing, mate. It's a big subject, eh? There's a lot into it. There's a lot into it. I guess most things in moderation, hey, is the key.
Well, I guess so. Got to cut out the sweet treats, though.
Yeah, it's a bit of a downer.
Yeah, it is.
So, can you tell me, are you planning to investigate all aspects of good health, or will the main focus be on heart health and lifestyle choices?
Yeah, I think initially that's probably where the focus is because that's what I'm going through at the moment. But it's certainly not to say as I'm researching this information, I'm coming across other things. For argument's sake, type 2 diabetes. From my limited understanding at the moment is, though, listening to some experts, they're saying, what the Diabetes Association, around the world is saying, you should do this, eat this. But these other people are saying, no, that's just going to make your diabetes worse. You need to be doing these things. So that's early days with that at the moment. I haven't got my head right around it, but I'm certainly coming across these things because, you search something and, another topic will come up. So, so there's certainly that. They're still looking at what the Heart Foundation says in Australia and in America compared to, I guess that'll be more mainstream with what the cardiologists generally accept. But then looking at the other people, and it just opens a can of worms. So I'm sure there's lots of others, but, I guess with the melanoma as well, recent tests in Australia of SPF 50 sunscreens, they showed that a whole bunch of them had no effect, or they had SPF 20 instead of 50, or there was one of them I think was as low as 6. So supposed to put sun cream on. But then again, I've also been reading the ingredients in the sun cream. Some of them aren't good for you. You may remember the days back when you were young, but certainly when I was young, there was an ad on TV that they used to just use like coconut oil.
Yeah.
Go out in the sun. That'll protect you. Go out in the sun. Well, today you kind of think that's, lie down in the sun, put your coconut oil on, and then we'll come out and cook on your back or something because the coconut oil is just going to sizzle nicely. But that's what we did back in the day.
Yeah.
So even that confuses me now. If I've got a melanoma, it's kind of like, well, am I going to get more? What do I do? Lather with sun cream, put more chemicals on my body. Some of the chemicals aren't what I should be putting on. So yeah, it's just a can of worms.
Yeah. A very big can of worms too, mate, eh?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And it just keeps leading you into the confusion. So just leading on from that, does your interest and learnings extend beyond mainstream medicine modalities, or is that your main focus, or you're looking to really branch out into other alternatives as well?
I have an open mind, and I think that's how I need to approach this topic. Um, I need to be open to alternatives. As I said, I'm glad the doctor was there. I'm glad the cardiologist was there, that he did the procedure, put the stents in, took my pain away. I haven't had any pain since. So as I said at the beginning, I'm not anti-medicine. I certainly believe there is a place for it, but I also believe there are alternatives. And I just need to be open to those. Some of them may be people who are just trying to peddle something to make some money and make a name for
Yeah,
themselves. Not
sadly.
interested, but there are too many people who have had success with alternatives, but we're all different. And that's why not all the alternatives work for everybody, because our body is different to my body is different to yours.
Yeah,
And they
100%.
can treat us the same, they can treat us for the same condition, but they may treat us differently because our bodies will react differently. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do, and just, yeah, stay open minded, but also try and use some common sense with what I do for my body, but hopefully be allowed to make that decision. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like I've had some experiences with health and myself in life, and my partner and family members. As I'm sure
Yeah.
we all have, with different things. It's a part of life.
Yep.
For me and my experience, I find myself to claim myself to be pretty open-minded as well, mate, along these
Yeah.
things,
Good.
and you need to be learning about and teaching about the stuff that I do with with money and the financial system and everything. You got to be very open-minded to be able to take it all
Yeah.
in, because it's equally as huge a subject as what the
Yeah.
health and medical space is.
Yeah.
And
Sure
like
it is.
like you said there about the individuality of a person from person to person is really big, really important. And I don't think there's enough emphasis put on it myself,
Yeah.
and that applies same thing to individually for our finances in life, because
Yeah.
we all live and act and think in different ways, So I think it's very important to try and look to specialize for the individual,
Yeah.
and for me, a lot of that mainstream medicine stuff is broad scope. Just here, take this pill, and they give that same pill to everybody,
Yeah.
you know. So,
Yeah.
um,
No, this needs a different approach, and we'll see where my research and what my journey takes me. But yeah, that's the plan.
no, that's really good, Was. I'm really happy for you in the sense of your discovery,
Yeah.
and that you developed a passion out of it to want to go and share what you discover with other people, to help other people, find their way through the confusion that
Yeah.
that is health and wellness, and
Yeah.
how that ties together with our financial wealth. Because if
Yeah.
we have good health, we can have good financial wealth, which can
That's right.
ultimately put more money in our pockets to look after ourselves better. So
Yeah, for sure.
it's a nice little closed-in circle that
Yeah.
feeds itself, for
Yeah. No,
sure.
it certainly does.
No, all right, mate. Well, it's been really good to talk to you today, Was. You obviously had a great passion for this subject, and more power to you for being so honest about the struggles and for sharing your experiences with others, mate. And
My pleasure.
as I mentioned at the top of the show, I truly believe that good health is the most important and precious form of wealth that we have in our
Yeah.
life. And so you're doing good things, mate, sharing the
Thank you.
information and doing the research that you're doing with your podcast. And I am, for one, very keen to follow where your story goes, mate, and keep up to date with your podcast going forward. So, can you tell us where listeners are going to be able to find you, mate?
Yeah. As of now, I have a Facebook page which is called Wellness with Was, so they
Yep.
can follow my journey there. Will be a wellness debate. Um, maybe a Facebook page or a website. I'm not sure yet, but certainly Wellness with Woz is currently operating, and there'll be links from there once the other information gets set up properly, because we're still in the process as it's new. But that's the easiest way to get hold of me at the moment.
That's awesome, mate. Excellent. Beauty, Cobber. Thanks again for your time, mate, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon, eh?
My pleasure. Thanks, Bully.
Excellent. Cheers, Rod.
This has been another episode of the Rodney Bull Show, a Rebel Edge production. Please share with your family and friends, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review.